Okay, so we are on air, and welcome to the space of the Nevicata 14 Lab, which is the environment for the open meetings with the citizens and experts talking about the topics of public space and other topics connected to the issues of Nevicata. Nevicata 14, it's the project of the pedestrian temporary configuration of Piazza Castello during the Expo Milano 2015. And here today we have one of the events of the program, so it's the talk. And I'd like to welcome you to talk about the project of Wikipraça and your experience with it. So I don't know who of you wants to start first.
Maybe me.
Okay, Bernardo.
Okay, just let me share the presentation.
Okay.
1 second. Just let me share the link in the Hangout.
Okay.
Just 1 second. Okay. Well, the Wikipraça process, it's a quite interesting. I think it's more a process than a project, because it started more or less at the end of 2012 in Rio. Yes, let me share this desktop. Now, can you see the presentation?
Yes, we see your screen.
Okay, perfect. So it was I was invited to Rio de Janeiro at the end of 2012. I was speaking more or less about the participatory urbanism, the new type of city, wiki cities, and those stuff. And it was quite interesting how the public of the event, of the meeting, told me that you should stay in Rio, and we need a wiki square in Rio. We need a Wikipraça, and we made a kind of first attempt of doing a kind of mixture of between networks, digital ones, and territories. Of trying to work in a networked way to occupy and make a territory and a square in Rio. It was called the Praça de São Salvador. It's in this downtown in Rio. It's a quite interesting place. And we created a kind of different tools and networks, from free software to Facebook to Twitter to Pads, and try. Can you hear me?
Yes, now we do hear you.
Hello?
For a moment you got a bit lost. Bernardo? Yes.
Yes, just let me 1 second. So you can hear me and you can see my screen, isn't it?
Yes, we see screens and we hear you. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, it was a kind of try to think how an urban space would work if it worked as Wikipedia. It was a kind of provocation I made in that speak I made in Rio, and how the collective intelligence would work in this new, what I call, or some people call, the kind of hybrid space. Hybrid space as a mixture of the internet, the digital world, the cyber world, and the territories, the interactive territories. And of course, we all have, most of us, a lot of people, both in Rio, São Paulo, Milan, we have the smartphones and Wi-Fi internet or connection to the internet. So this was quite a kind of different turning point for the civil society and urban movement. So this new kind of dynamic of networks and territories, it was more or less the beginning of Wikipraça. This is the first meeting where we made a kind of meeting in the street, in the square. We are Wikipraça. We are trying to reshape them to different things in territory, or to connect people from this digital ambient to the city. For some time, this Wikipraça was more or less speaking with the right to the city, Lefebvre paradigm, and he said that the space is more or less an emptiness, and the place should be this place of construction, of production of meaningful behaviors. So, well, at the Wikipraça in Rio, I live in São Paulo, so I finally had to come back to my to my city. And it was more or less an interesting process, digital one, because after those first occupations in São Salvador from the Wikipraça project, it became a kind of Facebook group, mailing lists, Twitter accounts, and things we made together from the digital. But after that, it was quite interesting how the São Paulo City Hall, somehow they knew about the project, and they were interested in doing a kind of Wikipraça in São Paulo, a kind of wiki square. So they spoke with us, and we created a new moment for this project. That it was different because we had the support of an institution, of an important one. It's 12 million people living in just in the city of São Paulo. If we join the outskirts of the city, it's 20 million city. So for us it was different. It was kind of how the auto-organization and the autonomous movement and citizen collectives and people doing things in the street, or how Wikipraça method could speak and with the public power. So it was different. So it was a different approach. For us, it was this is Futura Media. This was our network who created this project with the City Hall of São Paulo, and it was a kind of pilot project for the City Hall. So they had the idea of more or less trying to transform the Wikipraça process and code source. So what we made for the city and this kind of new interface for speaking with the government and people was the initial idea was to use after the Wikipraça process as a kind of participatory source for the city. It was not easy at all, and after I'm going to speak more or less about these different things. Well, the first what we made was to create multi-layer digital tools and platforms strategies. So we had a new site. You can see it here. We had different networks. The commercial ones, the most known are Twitter, Facebook, Flickr, Google+, Instagram, all that stuff. We worked with free software. We tried to work with free software, both in TitanPad, both in the mailing lists, Mailman, not Google Groups. We had different layers of working together with people and City Hall, and it was the whole kind of open process, because we were making a post for the site, or we wanted to create a kind of strategy, an open document, anyone could get inside. So we were testing more or less different participatory platforms. It's interesting to point that the Largo do Arouche, this downtown square in São Paulo, is one of the icons of the gay community. It's an historical place. It's a place of writers and cultural stuff. But in the last 20, 30 years, it's more or less kind of abandoned place, more or less dangerous. It's not an easy place. It's stuff is kind of some small violence, and it's a kind of huge diversity of this place. We can see all this gay movement, of course. This is quite interesting. But we had to speak with people of 60 years old that they were living there when that place was an important and bohemian place, and now it's more or less degraded. So the diversity of Largo do Arouche in São Paulo, in downtown, was quite big. So the conversation between the different actors of the square, it was not easy. Of course, the City Hall didn't know how to speak with those different communities. And it was, of course, interesting for us to try to find these new type of prototypes and ways of speaking, listening, building things together, and or to do lists or things, demands that people wanted for that place. So we tried to make a lot of things in the street. So the territory for us, it was the most important platform. So this hybrid space. So it's interesting to point as well that the Wi-Fi, the public Wi-Fi to that square was put in Lago do Aroche because of Wikipraça. So from the beginning of the project with the city hall, we had free Wi-Fi in the space. It helped it. It doesn't work so well, but it's interesting. So we try to make a lot of this networked dynamics of the digital ambient, how to put a chat in public space, how to put a kind of not hierarchical talk in the public space, as we do it in the networks. So it was quite interesting. A lot of things that we made in the territory coming from the digital behaviors, and the contrary, how the participative mechanisms in the territory, analogical, work it in the digital network. So we try to mix both ambients. About the listening, I think that it was one of the most interesting things that we made. We didn't have a clear idea because it was an open process. So we began to test the little things on interface. It was this Você Aroche, is you and the Aroche. We made short interviews, kind of all of the people that were participating, were seated, were walking, the real protagonists of the territory. We made short interviews, no more than 1 minute, nice, cool, edited, and we put it in the internet. So it was one of the things that worked as a kind of how to build a network, how to build a community. So this Você Aroche was quite interesting, and we didn't have at all expectation of well, this is the way we are going to create community, but it happened. So a lot of things that we didn't know that were going to be nice, they were nice, and a lot of things that we thought that, well, this is the way, we have the way to do this thing, and it didn't happen. So, well, this is a short interview. I think we don't need to see, but it's more or less an informal, funny and free interviews. About the desires, the wishes of people, we try to do different things. So in this case, we had a lot of documents and Google Doc and pads and interviews and things, people saying what they wanted for that place. And after all of that stuff, we made a document with all the petitions and the phrases of sentences of people willing and wanting things to happen in that place. We made this simple tag cloud, and you can see some of the interesting things and pictures. Mutirão is a word of kind of collaborative process, quite popular in Brazil. Banheiro is a kind of toilet, public toilet. They want to be there. Music, so B2K, things for the cigarettes, a kind of bike, parking for bikes. So more or less you can see things and desires. And we tried to do in a different way, because we could present the traditional stuff, the traditional petitions to the city hall, a kind of, okay, city hall, we have been working during 4 months in this territory, and we have the most important petitions, and we have that document. But I think it's important to do in a different, more fun, interactive, and multimedia way. So we did this as well. And it was quite important for us to listen and to put the desires and the wishes of the territory for that place. Education, more or less, we did a lot of workshops, and we did this kind of public speech of one person sharing a kind of speech. But the most of the times we did in a kind of, instead of having an important person, urbanist, architect there speaking, we try to put a lot of movements and collectives together. So we were more or less hacking the format of the city hall. We had short money for this public presentation, and instead of giving this money to just to one person, we invited different movements to share this collective process. So it was interesting, the workshops. I think that the workshop that we thought that were going to work as a kind of digital tools or activism, I think that they didn't work so well, but the other ones, they worked very, very, very well. So it was a kind of process of listening to the territory and to the demands that they were wanting, because it's a mistake to be in a territory with a closed format and content and workshop. We opened this process to listen. What the hell do you want to do in the next workshop? And it was like that we were approaching to people and doing things in a more interesting place. Well, this is a short video. I don't know if do we have time? It's 2 minutes or no?
Sorry, how many minutes you said?
It's kind of 2.
Oh, yes, of course, we have time, don't worry. Yes,
okay,
let's watch it.
This is a nice video. I think we have in the Wikipraça, Wikisquare project, we have 2 lines, one of memory, one of how to put this memory of the place in different layers, and how can we create a common place from the past. And the other line is the future, is the desires. What do you want to displace? So I think these 2 lines were important, still are important in the process. This is a video made for this part of the desires. What the hell do you want for the Wikipraça? It's short, it's nice.
Eu desejo que a praça fique mais linda, mais florida, né, cara? Mais frutífera, né?
Eu sinto vontade, talvez, de fazer uma horta que una, né? Quem mora aqui, quem passa.
Plantem mangas, plantem jaqueiras, plantem carambolas e outras coisas. Plantem a vida aqui. É isso que eu quero, amor e carinho pra praça.
O meu sonho pro Arocho é ver essa interação e acrescentando nos outros pontos. Vamos encher de banco.
Intervenções, oficinas.
Eu gostaria que houvesse, assim, por exemplo, as pessoas se comunicarem mais. Muito importante. Tanto os moradores, como os lojistas, algumas pessoas flutuantes que vêm aqui.
Principalmente a gente quer mais umas mesinhas assim, aquelas mesinhas redondinhas com barulho, né? Pra gente tomar uma cervejinha, né?
Um pouco mais de cultura, não custa. Eu tenho um descampado, põe um monte de plaquetas na história do Arocho. Ô, Eric, vem aqui rapidinho. Passa a foto aqui. Nossa.
Acho legal que para a praça seria banheiros químicos, né?
Um coreto. Eu gostaria que a gente tivesse um espaço fixo que as pessoas pudessem, sim, tocar um violão, cantar.
Praça é para ser ocupada, rua é para ser ocupada, prédio vazio é para ser ocupado.
Well, it's a short video, but I think that you can see the spirit of the project. And now I'm going to speak of different things that we made that happened, and some of them it was in the video. Well, this is the affective cartography. It's kind of emotional cartography of the place. we were playing with a kind of different approach to territory. So the map is not the territory. And all of we made now, we are going to we have a new site, and we have an interactive emotional cartography of the place of Arauche, the region of Arauche. And it, of course, is again a mixture of networks, digital networks and territories. And it's quite interesting how people are dealing with this. And we want to go on with this emotional cartography, because all of these usual maps of what is happening in a territory, let's do a Google map or an OpenStreetMap, most of the times you can't understand the territory just with these cartographies. So the emotional cartography for us is important. This is a cartography that now we are going to launch in the new site, where we are putting videos, photos, things that we made in the territory, things of the past, music, books, and this is more or less the territory. You have the nature, diversity, proposals, memories, culture. Well, I think in the next week we will have online. Okay. Well, a lot of things we made the kind of interventions, cultural, political things that we built, that we created in territories, from music to other things. For example, here you can see a kind of open lesson of theater. It was a neighbor, she lives there. She was more or less speaking with Wikipraça project. She came to the assemblies that we made, and she proposed it to do a kind of theater class, an open lesson about theater and diversity. It was wonderful. We never thought about doing this, and we made it, and it was wonderful. Here you can see a kind of digital or physical network that we built for playing for people and children, and it was quite interesting because it was a kind of 3 weeks in the square, and somehow some people cut the network because they had the version that the beggars and thieves and bad people were doing bad things in the network, even sex. And after that, we said, okay, why didn't you tell us? Why didn't you share your opinions in the assembly? Why did you do it alone? Why you, when the 90% of the square is liking the network, and you cut the network? So it was interesting because after that we made a test of the birth and the death of a network, about the difficulty of building networks, and it was a collective test where many people wrote. So it was interesting as well, this problem that we have. So all of the problems that we were having, well, this is a test I am speaking about, the birth and the death of a network. We wrote about a kind of 4 or 5 people. It was the process of that physical network we built. Well, collective intelligence, more or less, most of the things that we made, it was not a kind of top-down decision or idea that we had to do. And in most of the times, we tried to put people together to active this new collective intelligence. So we had a lot of different collaborative mechanisms, as assemblies, co-creation, these hangouts that we made in the territory with a kind of screen and people. This one was quite important, with activists of the whole Brazil speaking. This one is quite famous in Rio. So people from 7 cities speaking in that square with the screen projected. And after that, people seated in the square asking and interacting with these activists. We made a global one with people from Mexico, from Spain, from Argentina, and it was wonderful. So we tried always to create this kind of collective intelligence. It was quite funny and quite not planned. One day we had a kind of big how do you say it, sorry, for music, this kind of music box, a big one, for the microphone or for putting music. And we realized it that this box has Bluetooth, so anybody, any person could send from the mobile phone a music. So we spoke in the microphone. Okay, people, we don't want to be DJ. You are the DJ. So it's a collective box. You can send whatever you want. And it was a fantastic party. We made twice or 3 times. And it was incredible. You can see the pictures. We are doing a video now of the whole Wikipraça. And it was a kind of collective party in the square, and people sending music from the mobile phone. There was a kind of 7 people waiting to send the music, and it was incredible. So the kind of the collective DG, it was quite the most important than any official DG of any party. What else? Well, social technology. I like speaking about social technology. Technology in itself is not much for me, but people using technology. And this, when we say that the process that we do together with other people is a software that makes possible a new function of one thing. So this social technology, I think that we got that into that. And the digital tools with analogical mechanism, we created, and we have now a social technology that, of course, it exists without the Wikipraça. But the Wikipraça was a kind of thing that put a lot of people together and created new social technology processes. This is quite important in the Wikipraça process. It's a kind of open source chairs and benches. We created a kind of workshop for building with recycled materials, chairs and things that is a kind of open source. Here you have the how to do it yourself, and it was wonderful. It's still there. It's a big bench with a modular plan for building, and it was. We made it 3 times, and it was quite interesting for building network and to bring this community of the square together. So these open source chairs and benches are one of the most important DNA of Wikipraça. This is the network we were speaking about. This is how to build a network and how to create this new space for interactions. It was quite interesting. Now we are thinking about doing another thing, physical one. This is a kind of fantastic thing that happened. This Earth, I think in English is Earth, sorry, but now I'm not sure. And it was not our plan. It's kind of one person of the Wikipraça movement. She lives there. She was coming to the assemblies. She was quite interested in what was happening in Largo do Arauxo. And she was a kind of, well, I'm quite interested in permaculture. So why don't we create this new place for growing plants and things and to do it together? We said, okay, do it, but we can help. The Wikipraça can help the team. We can divulgate. We can create the networks. We can do it together in physical stuff. But you have to be in the role of being a kind of, well, you are leading this process, so you have to be there. So it's quite difficult to create a lot of things in a territory, and after that to think, okay, this Wikipraça crew people are going to do everything. So no, we said, if you're going to be there every day and helping and every week, we're together. But if not, we can do that. It is still working. A lot of different people is working together. It's a new place for speaking, for dialogue. Different communities that never spoke, that never were together in the kind of the same 5 meters. They are together doing things and speaking. So it was, I think, quite important to have this permaculture approach to the Wikipraça. Well, I am at the end of the presentation. Maybe Gustavo wants to add anything or things that are going to happen now. Well, the political virus. I understand the Wikipraça as a kind of new imaginary, a kind of new reference for the urban spaces. So one of my personal dreams was to transform this project in a kind of political virus, worldwide one. We are doing now transforming our website in a template. So we, in a few weeks, we are going to put a free template in the WordPress. So our website is going to be a template. Anybody, any collective, any city could make the same. Of course, we are liberating a kind of method. How we made it, that is going to be different in any city of Brazil, of the world. And the interesting thing, we can share experiences, hashtags. We are going to create an international Wikisquare mailing list for any collective of urban interest in the world. Now there are happening different stuff. For example, in Porto Alegre, in the south of Brazil, there are some people doing a Wikipraça. They work to us and they invited me. I was there in Porto Alegre helping them. And we said, okay, all of our content and graphic design is copyleft. You can use it. It's not commercial, but it's copyleft. So if you want to do a Wikipraça in Porto Alegre, it's okay. And as it is the first one after Rio and Sao Paulo, we have space in our servers. We have a mailing list for you. So Porto Alegre has a mailing list in our servers. And we can help you. So Wikipraça is happening in Porto Alegre as well. And I hope that in a few weeks, when the free Wikisquare template in WordPress, I still dream with a kind of 100 of Wikipraça Wikisquares worldwide. So I hope you do it one in Italy. This is a new site that we are working in. It's not finished, but more or less is the style. This is do it yourself. Do your own Wikipraça. Okay. And well, I think it's more or less that what I had to speak. Of course, that I suppose there are questions or different things happening. I don't know. This is our networks. Wikipraça SP. It's the Facebook, our emails, and the site is wikipraca.org. It's where we are going to put all the informations and well, I don't know, Gustavo, are you interested in speaking anything? I come back.
No, I think you said everything about the project. We can go to the questions and talk about the project. Do you listen me? Hello?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay. No, for me, it's okay. I think Bernardo said about the whole project, and I don't know if we can talk with another person there. If you have any questions.
Yes, actually, I have questions to start, let's say, because it's very interesting. It was always interesting, this approach to the hybrid public space, which is existing both online and offline. And we wanted to understand actually more the division between the tools that you use. So which are more, I don't know, which are kinds of public more involved in the digital, which are more involved in offline, which are the, I don't know, if you have different kinds of applications for these tools. How do you decide what happens online, what happens offline? This is a very interesting experience because now we're, for Nevicata, as well, little update about Nevicata also. We're making, now we're in the course of the construction site, so there are works in the square, and soon, in 2 weeks, it's going to be finished, and we are preparing for the new level, new step of the project, so to manage the users of it. And now we're making this document, which is the regulation of use, basically, of the square, because we would like to find the way to put together in a nice and collaborative way different activities that people might be interested in the square. And so we work with the citizens, trying to involve them in the writing process of this document. And also we are having the offline meetings once a week, and we're having the online open document on the Google Docs. And yes, it's quite interesting for us to understand also the experiences of other spaces in how do you manage this kind of collaboration online and offline. So it could be very interesting to talk more about it if you could.
Do you want to speak, Gustavo? Well, I speak 1 minute, so maybe Gustavo can add things about stories. Well, it's a kind of every platform is different, and in our case, for example, Facebook, that it's quite important in Brazil, is working. We have a group, we have a profile, we have a kind of conversation among a kind of 30 people, events, and it's working. We have mailing lists, but it's irregular. So one day you see that there are people speaking by email in the list. Other day in Twitter there are people speaking. All of these documents that we have, the Titan Pad and the Google Docs, some days it's working. There's a test where a lot of people is working for building anything. Another day it doesn't work. So I think that the territory, the assembly, the physical presence, we tried always to do a kind of from the network to the street. So I think that the territory is quite important. The territory was, all of what we did in the territory was quite important. For me, I think that without digital networks, we couldn't have done it. But without the territory, of course, we couldn't have done anything. So I think that the physical assembly, all of that stuff, was very, very, very important.
Yeah, I think we had all these kinds of platform to trying to activate the territory and the people and the community, but each territory has its own process. We cannot go with a closed idea. For example, using just one platform or just one kind of application to the space and the community. We offered a lot of possibilities, and there we see what the community wants to use and what is best for the people there and works more.
Okay, and another pretty much technical question. How actually do you manage all the different uses of the space? So you have quite different activities happening, and is there some sort of calendar? How do people contribute? How do they decide which activity to be developed or which not to be? And do you have some kind of this kind of regulation, management activities all together with the community, or it's organized in some other way?
Well, we had a kind of commitment with the city hall, so we had to develop some different things that we had to do. A kind of you have to do a workshop about sexual diversity, and you have to do another one about digital tools. So these ones that we had the obligation of doing, we always try to share in a kind of, okay, we have a workshop about digital tools. Are you more interested in this? But we had obligation of doing that. The most of the things we tried to spoke the proposals in the assembly. We tried to do every Wednesday a physical meeting in Largo do Aroche. So there were a kind of 10, 15, or 20, or 8 people speaking about new things happening. Most of the proposals, the permaculture, the network, happened there. Other ones, it was a kind of, some people is proposing to do a show, and we don't think it has nothing to do with Wikipraça. So there's one person writing in the Facebook group. So more or less, we tried to open the conversation always as possible, but a lot of times there was no conversation. So it was a smaller group of 4 people, 5 people who were more engaged in the project. We were dealing with the networks, with the city hall, with the streets, and we're doing things, this kind of core, who most of the times had to take a decision, because if not, there were not happening nothing. So, but yes, most of the proposals were proposals made in an open assembly, or in a list, or in a Facebook group, and after that we spoke about that. So it was more or less, we're still improving the method, kind of how could we work in a bigger space or a smaller space, or with a bigger, now we have 500 people in the Facebook group, so it's a big group. But most of them are just reading or listening or interested in what's happening there. So maybe just 10% of those 500 people are working and interested in working in Wikipraça, but they are interested. So somehow they're part of the community. So you have to speak there. The things are happening and the decisions you have to ask there. But not everybody, as in Wikipedia, as in the digital world, participates.
Yeah, one thing that occurred during the assembly was someone that came with the idea to do a calendar there in the wall, in the square, where people could put some ideas and activities, and try to do a hybrid calendar, like an Excel or something in a Google document, an open calendar where people can put activities and things, and another in a wall at the square. This is a good idea. We tried to do that, but it's a little bit difficult to maintain and to try to make it happen, everything. But this is I think this is a good try, a good idea to have this calendar.
Okay, thank you. And in general, which are the further steps of the development which you see for Wikipraça? Like, we talked some months ago about it, and it would be really interesting to talk about it again in some months, so to see the project in development. But maybe you can just tell us already what are your plans for the next development?
Well, the next developments are now the initial conversation and support of the city hall is over. So they have all the information things that we made. We were trying to do now is to go on in the territory, of course, as an auto-organization, citizen organization, to improve the method of the effective cartography of we are doing there, and we are working in the new website that will be a template. So we want to free and to liberate a template in the WordPress in order to incentivize different wiki squares in different cities, or even in São Paulo, in the same city. And after that, we are reshaping as well how to work with this Wikipraça in different cities, and how to speak with different institutions, cultural ones, political ones, and to do a kind of smaller interventions of urban spaces or participative. Wikipraça is small sets, and kind of, okay, we are thinking about curating these hybrid and participative ambient, both in digital and in the territories, for different situations of festivals or meetings or more kind of post-it intervention. Okay, 1 week in that neighborhood, what you can do as Wikipraça to improve the conversation between communities. So we're thinking to go on there and to have the Wikipraça method more clear and more improved. And after that, the liberation of the template, and after that, to work in different spaces of São Paulo or the world with the Wikipraça.
Okay, so I don't know, maybe someone else has some questions? No, not really. Today our public is not that questionable. So, okay, thanks a lot and good luck. We will keep in touch following the process and progress of the square. So I hope we're going to have some kind of conversation next month, and also we can report more about the process of Nevicata when it's going to be starting to be used. So see you soon, and thanks a lot for participation today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you. Ciao, ciao.